Hi students, today we are going to learn about chemical bondings. What are the topics we are going to learn today? So what are chemical bonds? What are different types of chemical bonds? And how they formed? And what are the properties of different types of bond? It will take a couple of days actually. So we will learn one by one with lot of examples and activities in between. So we will start with what is chemical bond? How do you define chemical bond? What is the meaning of chemical bond? So let's start here. A chemical bond is a bond or attraction between atoms that enables the formation of compounds. So when two atoms are there, when the two atoms combine to form a compound, the connection between the two atoms is called a chemical bond. And chemical bonds are kind of a glue that holds the two atoms together to form compounds. Okay. The chemical bond may be because of electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged atoms or through sharing of electrons like in covalent bonds. Okay. We are going to learn about that little in detail in the oncoming slides. First, we'll go about like what are the different types of chemical bonds. So first one, ionic bond. Second one, covalent bond. Third one, metallic bond. So let's number those like 1, 2, 3. So first one, ionic. Second one, covalent. And third one, metallic. And what are what is the main difference between all these three and how do they form? So first the ionic bond. See, ionic bond is formed between a metal and non-metal. So the connection between, the bonding between one metal and one non-metal is called ionic bond. I can give you an example for this. Let's take sodium. Sodium is a metal. And let's take one non-metal, example chlorine. So the bond between sodium chloride, sodium and chlorine is called ionic bond. This is an ionic compound. Sodium chloride is an ionic compound. Okay, next, covalent bond. Covalent bond is formed between a non-metal and a non-metal, between two non-metals. Let's take an example. Non-metal, carbon is a non-metal, and oxygen is a non-metal. So let's take the compound carbon dioxide. So there are two elements. One is carbon, other one is oxygen. Both are non-metal. So the bonding between carbon and oxygen is called covalent bonding. And this compound, the carbon dioxide is a covalent compound. The next, third one, metallic bond. It's so easy, right? So the bond between two metals. It's called metallic bond. Let's give an example of an alloy. Copper is a metal and zinc is a metal. So the bond between copper and zinc is called a metallic bond. In the next slides, we will see one by one. We will see ionic bond first, how it is formed, and we'll see all the details. Then we'll move on to the covalent bonding. Okay. So before we go into detail into ionic and covalent bonding, we'll do some practice. And we will make sure we understand the differences between ionic and covalent and metallic compounds clearly. So there is an example, calcium chloride. So classify the following compounds as ionic, covalent, or metallic compounds. Example one is calcium chloride. So the answer is given. Calcium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. So the bond between calcium and chloride. Bond between calcium and chloride is ionic. And second one, carbon is a non-metal, fluorine is a non-metal. So the bond between carbon and fluorine is covalent bond. So the compound is called a covalent compound. And the third one is copper is a metal, zinc is a metal. So the bond between metal and metal is called metallic bond. And this type of alloys is called metallic compounds. And what kind of bond is there in lithium hydroxide? And you know lithium is a metal with atomic number 3. Oxygen is a non-metal. You'll find in the periodic table with atomic number 8. And hydrogen is a non-metal too with atomic number 1. That is the first element in the periodic table. So I would say the bond between lithium and oxygen is ionic, as lithium is metal and oxygen is non-metal. Then the bond between oxygen and hydrogen is covalent because both are non-metals. So I would say lithium hydroxide, that is LiOH, has both ionic and covalent bond. Okay, so now we will do a little practice. In the next slide. So are these following compounds ionic or covalent or both? So first figure out, use the periodic table and figure out are these elements are metals or non-metals. So if you see metal and non-metal, you just write that is ionic I. And if you see both elements are non-metals, then write it as covalent. And some compounds have both metals and a couple of non-metals. So you write for those elements, for those compounds, you write both. So pause the video, take few minutes to figure out the answers. Well, I guess you have the answers. Can you check your answers? If anything is missing, or if any answers are different from your answers, let me know. We can go over that. We will figure out where did we go wrong.